Hello and welcome to SDN Tech Forum. In this video, I'm going to introduce you a very exciting hardware plus DNA feature. The hardware itself is called AP1800S sensors. These are not to be mistaken with an access point. These are a dedicated sensor appliance or a hardware which can simulate a wireless client, and then you can use this to run various types of tests from the sides. So let's see what is the agenda for today. Agenda is pretty simple. I'm going to give you a quick primer for 1800 sensors, and then we are going to deploy 1800 sensor in our SDA, one of our SDA branches. So my assumption is you have a fair understanding of DNA Center, Cisco DNA Center, and its software defined access. I have a branch configured here as my software defined access branch. In that branch, we have wired user, wireless user, and now we are going to deploy a wireless sensor so that we can run various test cases and compare the experience with the end user experience. So why sensor, or what is Aeronet active sensor? Aeronet active sensors, they are a very small form factor, like 2 and 2 size, is a dedicated APs. They connect to your Wi-Fi network and run a series of tests as client server device, and then they send this test results back to DNA Center, and DNA Center can further analyze it and present it in a assurance dashboard. So what do I need sensor? See, this is very typical. As a system administrator or network engineer, at some point of time, you must have witnessed that an end user is complaining about some network issues, or just experience that website is slow, or this any application is slow, and you check and you start checking things. You log into your router, switches, and various level of network, and you find no issues with the network, right? But still end user is not happy. That's mostly because we try to gauge or evaluate things from network perspective, but we need something from client perspective. So here in this picture, you can see that you run all your network diagnostic, AP looks happy, but end users are still complaining. So what do you need? You need an idea, which is basically having a sensor here located in the same branch or same location where the end users are located, and then you run your test on the sensor. So you get the combined data of network perspective and from client perspective. When you combine them together, you see the big picture and you see the problem from client perspective, and that is why 1800S sensor comes really handy in those scenarios. Now let's talk about sensor types. You can see that Aeronaut 1800S is a dedicated sensor, and it has multiple powering options, and at the same time 1800, 2800 and other APs, they can also work AP as a sensor. That means for on demand you can change them from AP to sensor, but in this video we are totally going to talk about 1800S sensors. And now let's focus on its different powering option. You can see 3 PIDs are here. Air mod PoE. So this is, you can see, this is my PoE module. So you have a small RJ45 connection here, which you can connect to your switch, and then this is 5-volt powering option. The actual sensor then looks like this. So this is your 1800S sensor, which reads as Air AP 1800S BK9. So this is the actual sensor. This is the supplement module. If you want to use a PoE, you can combine them together just like this, and use at your site. All right. The another thing what I want to show you is the console connection. So you can see that there is a very small hole here. This is here. This is actually covered when it shipped. So you need to peel it off, and this is the console port, serial console port hidden under white cover. So I have peeled the cover and now I can see the console, and this is the special console cable, air conduit. You can see this is the CCW, so not a regular console cable but a different console cable, which one end is RJ45 and another end is console, and you can use this CCW to get your console connector. Now let's talk about how do we deploy this, right? So how you are going to deploy this? It's a series of steps, and there are some fundamentals you need to understand, but on very high level how it looks like is prepare your Cisco DNAC. So do perform the DNA side of configuration, like prepare your PNP profile, configure your backhaul settings, then prepare WLC. You can, if you're using wireless backhaul, this is optional step. You can actually enable the hidden SSID on WLC. I'll show you how to do that. And then onboard your sensor. That means select when the sensor is discovered, assign it to a site, place it in the map and all those things. Then upgrade 1800S code. So once the device is discovered and it is a part of inventory, just like any other switch and router, you can use DNAC swim or image upgrade feature to upgrade software on sensor as well. Then the interesting part is you can configure your test, like what kind of test you want to run, and you can define all those tests, and then finally review the result of those test on DNAC Assurance dashboard. At the same time, we will go back to ICE and WLC to cross-reference that. So this is my demo environment. You can see this is a typical SDA architecture. So I have a border node, and then this is my border node, and this is my this is border, and then I have the edge here. This is the distribution node. So on border, I have all the shared services connected, like my WLC and DNA center and radius server, etc. And on edge, I have a AP connected, and at the same time, I am connecting a 1800S via PoE option. So the sensor to edge switch connection, that is going to be a backhaul connection, and sensor to AP a wireless connection is going to be a client connection, or the test what I want to run, right? So this is the typical thing. Then let's understand the concept a little bit, and then I'll go to and dive into the demo, right? So sensor PNP. Sensor is not an AP. It is a dedicated sensor which simulate wireless client behavior, right? So how you can discover your sensors? So we use PNP, plug and play feature. And plug and play feature is, this is a very verbose site. This is the better view. So you can use three different types you can use to discover your sensor. DSCP option 43, DNS discovery with FQDN, and the last step is configure through sensor CLI. So if you have a console access or SSH access, you can put the command on sensor itself, and it will try to reach out to DNAC, because sensor need to have connectivity with DNAC so that it can download all the test cases and upload the test results, and they exchange heartbeat, like keep alive every 1 minute. So that connection or reachability is very important. So once you set up your PNP profile, then you have to do provisioning of sensor. So once it is discovered, then you are going to provision it via backhaul interfaces. So there are two type of backhaul today, wired and wireless. That means if you have a PoE module on your and you're connecting it to a switch, it can use that wired interface to send heartbeat, test results, everything. But if you do not have a PoE option, then what you can do, you can simply connect to a SSID and use that wireless connection for as a backhaul interface. And backhaul, what it does, it exchange heartbeat, it download all the test cases from DNAC, it upload the result, and it also help you to do image management. So this is, you can see how the backhaul work. It's not a very clear picture, but you can see 1800 AP sensor here, and it's actually sent heartbeat, and DNA center send out the test cases if you define any. So this basically talk about the wireless backhaul. How wireless backhaul works is like when the sensor ships, it has a SSID configured by default as Cisco sensor provisioning, and on WLC also, when you enable a feature, this SSID get enabled, so it can use this SSID to talk to your WLC and establish the connection. But we are going to use a static method other than this wireless backhaul. So how you can now let's go into the demo part directly. So let's log into the DNAC. So when you log into your DNAC, the first thing what you want to check is if you have the right software. I am running 1315 here, DNAC version, and what you want to check is if you have the right package installed. That means under assurance, if you come here, you should see automation sensor. So you can see it here, right? So that means the sensor image is uploaded. Now what you want to do, you want to first the first thing is we want to set up a PNP profile. So for PNP profile for AP, one of the important thing is you need to know your network profile, what network profile you want to use. So I'm going to use this network profile because it has my Canary SSID, which is my official SSID for that branch. So let's make a note of our profile RTP-WLP1, and now go back to provision, plug and play. Under plug and play, I'm going to add device. I just have a single AP on that location, so you may think that I want to add it via like this, and you need serial number and product ID. How you're going to get that? Log into your sensor console. By default, the username is Cisco and Cisco, C in caps. You need PID and serial number. So this is my serial number, KWs. I'm going to put this here. But product ID, when I search for product ID, Air AP 1800, you see there is no 1800 today in this release, DNA center release. So that's a kind of small bug here. The workaround is go to bulk device and then upload your format here. If you are unsure about the format or CSV template, you can download a sample here and then use that sample, replace it with the real values like I did here. So this sheet is going to tell you how to populate the sheet. So look at this. Number 9, comment, profile is mandatory field when adding access point or sensor. So this is my serial number, this is my PID, I have a device name, something random, I'm going to change it later. I know what site I want to assign it to, and most important is the profile, RTP-WLP. All right, now don't save, and let me simply sensor PNP template. I'm going to say import device, click here and say add and claim. Okay, since we are doing add and claim at the same time, I'm going to assign it to DP11 Flow, and I'm going to change the device name here, AP1800. Yes, say next. Empty configuration. If you have any day 0 configuration, you can assign it here, but I do not have any configuration, so I'm going to say empty configuration. Sensor is required for sensor settings. Come back here and next Sensor setting is required for sensor devices. All below sensor devices are missing settings. Okay, let me check what does that mean. Serial number for next, and it throws an error. Okay, so what you are missing here is come here and apply sensor setting. That means the default SSID. I'm going to say save. Next, loading day 0 config is success, and I'm going to say claim information yes. So we have configured this claimed, and you can see here AP is planned, and right now it's not connected. All right, so PNP is done. Now come back to assurance, and we are going to say a WLP setting, backhaul settings. I'm going to name it as setting name is AP1800BH. Wireless network, and level of security EAP MS chap. My username is going to be Stacy. This is for a wireless authentication. Okay, and now what we are going to do, we are going to connect the AP. So AP is already connected. I want my AP to onboard just like I want my sensor to onboard just like another AP. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to fabric. This is our fabric. This is the branch I'm dealing with. So you can see that I have a WLC. Edge 1 has an AP connected, and I'll go to host onboarding. Since on edge 1 only I have a sensor connected at this port. If you want, we can check here. Let's quickly check the CDP config. You can see that's a AP2CE0, and if you want to look at the config on this port right now, for that is a .1Q macro is associated template wire default close auth. What we are going to do, we are going to clear the auth here and assign it as access point with no authentication. Once you update and save, apply, in the background what it's going to do, it's going to remove the back macro from the port and configure it for infra VLAN or the AP VLAN. You see the no macro, the macro is removed, and if I repeat the command again, now it is configured for VLAN 2045, which is my AP VLAN. So my AP VLAN is, if you want to see the IP address, IP addressing pool, we'll go to the site. Wireless AP subnet 192.168.60.68.0. So that should be my. Now what we are going to do, we are going to monitor the plug and play, but before that we are going to see if AP has got, sensor has got the IP address from the same pool. Cisco show IP INT brief. You can see the AP has got IP address of 192.168.68.112 via DHCP, and this is the same VLAN pool. So I have got the IP address. Now what I want to do is I want to configure this with my DNAC IP address. So how to configure that? We are going to come here, and out of 3 options, we are not going to use DHCP option 43. We are not going to use DNS discovery. We are going to use static. And that is your let's go back to the sensor. I'm sorry, I keep calling my AP as a sensor. I have to. So conf.111 sensor PNP IP, and that should be your DNAC IP address, which is in my case 192.168.61.100. As I put my DNAC IP address, the sensor will try to reach out to DNAC. It will contact DNAC, and from DNAC we are going to watch the PNP. So it was earlier, it's not connected. Let's refresh it and see. Take a little bit of time, but the stage should progress from planned to onboarding to finally provisioning, and the device will go in the go to inventory eventually. Yes, you can see from not contacted, the last contact changed to April 6, and now it's going to planned state. That means the AP has already contacted DNAC. It will progress the state, and eventually the final state should be provisioning. Once it is in provisioning state, we are going to configure test cases and then visualize those test cases in DNAC Assurance board and in ICE. While we are here, I'm going to take you to WLC and show you, if you want to use wireless backhauling via WLC, how you can configure that. So you come to management, cloud services, under network assurance, you have server and sensor. Under sensor, if you enable this, by default this is disabled. If you enable this and apply, what it is going to do, it is going to enable SSID Cisco sensor provisioning and give it a WLAN ID 1, which is a reserved WLAN ID 1-16, and it enable that, and it also enable the security profile underneath. But we are not using this method, but if you are interested, this is for your FYI. All right, state is changing. Now it's onboarding. So from planned to onboard, then from onboard it will go to provisioning. While we are here, let me talk to you about how, once it is provision and it is a part of inventory, how we are going to do our image management or image upgrade. So you go to design, come to design repo, image repo. Within image repo, you can actually import your image. So go to global, import your image, and import your image. If you go to CCW, that is also an interesting thing I want to show you is so generally what we are aware of is any AP or a WLC image, they go hand in hand. That means WLC is responsible for pushing the image and doing the image upgrade. With sensor it is a little different, so that's why you see the new image train starting to appear and it clearly tell you when you go to software download and to Aeronaut 1800S sensor, it clearly tell you that the feature parity is with DNA center. So if you are running 131X, like in my case I'm running 1315, I need to download this image, and it is called 1312 image. Once you upgrade your DNA center, the sensor image will also start updating. So I have downloaded this. It is already part of my image repo. You can see my imported image is there. And once you import that, what you can do, you can actually mark this. So this is my imported image. Once you import that, you can mark it golden, and before that you can assign it to a site. For example, click on this, click your image, all device type, search your device. Since device is not in an inventory, you can still make it part of a site, so that when the first device show up in the inventory, you can simply go ahead and upgrade that. So now let's go and see what is my plug and play status is. Plug and play 1800 is provision, so that means it is already part of inventory. All right, let's go and check the inventory. AP1800, you can see. If you want, we can actually upgrade the image, update image, but we don't want to update the image because image is already updated. And yes, it is defined in the site. So now my device is discovered, and it is part of inventory. The next thing what you want to do is we want to place it on your map. So we will go to our site where the sensor is assigned. If you come here, click on edit, you can see sensor position. Here is my sensor. I'm going to put it very close to my AP, imagining I'm doing the same thing in the site itself. That means my sensor is placed near to this AP, and I'm going to save. So that's how you place your sensor on the map. Once you have placed your sensor on your map, now you're ready to run your test cases. So you come to assurance. Within assurance, you have sensor list. Your sensor is running, very good, and backhaul type is wired. You can see that. And now let's run some test cases. So I'm going to say test suite, add test name, my sensor test, location here, interval, a minimum interval should be 30 minutes. If I type 5 minutes, you can see that it's throwing an error. So minimum should be 30 minutes of interval. Against which SSID you want to run the test case? I want to run against my official SSID, Canary SSID 2.4, 5, both gigahertz. EAP method is MSCHAP, and my username with the wireless user client should be Sam, because that's a valid user. Next, then you can run multiple tests. By the default, one test is onboarding test, but if you want, you can run a variety of test cases like radius test, any particular host service reachability test, and like I want to run one of the Ubuntu server I have in my network, so I want to run a reachability test. If you want, you can run IP performance test as an app level test, like your email performance, HTTPS, all those things. I want to run a simple onboarding test. This page is crucial. Here, sensor selection. When you come to sensor selection, select your sensor and expand this. So it shows you the target AP, all the list of APs available. I have only one AP, that's what I'm selecting that. But if you have multiple AP, you can choose them. So what I'm saying that use my Canary SSID to connect to this AP and run that onboarding test case. I'm going to save it. This is going to run every 30 minutes. So it just started. We'll see the result here, last run result. What we can do, we can also monitor it from ICE. Since my ICE is already set up for .1x authentication, all the result profile, everything is set there. So I should see a wireless client called SAM authenticating to my ICE. So let's go to live logs and refresh every 5 seconds is good. Let's see. I'm saying every 30 minutes, and that should send a SAM authenticating here in any moment. While we are waiting for this, I'm going to show you how Assurance dashboard look like. So when you are in Assurance and you want to visualize your test result, go to wireless assurance, wireless sensor, and you can see this is the wireless sensor. So some of the test cases I was running earlier, that's why it's an old history onboarding test. And what you would like to see, you like to see your sensor devices. All your sensor devices are listed here, and what kind of test they are running. I'm not running any performance test, I'm running only onboarding test. So you can see that here, and test result, my sensor test, it's still populating. It's still not populated yet, so I have to wait a little bit for that. Go to manage, test suite, and this should go green when the results are available. Okay, see on my log, this is the right indication. I am on sensor, and you can see at a host with 172.16.98.13. It has got an IP address. That means it has got authenticated. Let's go back to ICE and visualize that. So you can see the SAM is actually authenticating, and it has got an IP address of 172.16.19.83. So let's expand the result. So .1x authenticated, permit access, and who is authenticating it? You see the NAD IP address is RTP WLC. So the client is sending request to WLC, and then WLC in turn authenticating it with ICE. So that is why the network device listed here is a WLC, and client has received the IP address of 172.168.19.13 based on the authorization result. If you are interested, right, this may take a little bit while it start populating on sensor dashboard, minimum 5 minutes. But at this point of time, we can see this the wireless client is authenticating with the Radius server and running the test cases. So this is good. I'm going to pause the video just for till the time we see the test result, and I'll be back. All right, so my test is running, and you can see the last run status is already run, and next is scheduled after a few minutes. Let's look at the details. You can see I'm running 2 test cases. One is SSID onboarding test against 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz, and at the same time I'm running a host reachability test for a particular server. All the test results are pass. This also will go green in some time because it's not really a real time, quote unquote, so it will go green. But to better visualization of your test result, you want to go to dashboard, assurance dashboard, wireless sensor. When you come here, you can see all the wireless sensor time series and graph, all your test summary, what test cases you are running, if there is any failure, test result. You can see test results are here. It will go green in some time. Onboarding test, you can play around with the different features like DSCP test, onboarding test, all those things. Network performance test, I'm not running any. This is your sensor. What is your sensor device, against what AP you are running, all those things you can see it from here. So very good visualization. Next, you want to see, since this is a wireless, you are interested in seeing the client. So what you can do, go to dashboard again and see the health from the client perspective. You can see the total wireless client is 1. The data will be populated in a moment. So go to, this is all the different things. This is assurance. If you are interested in assurance, watch my assurance video. And this is here, you can see your client device. So the user Sam, he has already authenticated, and this is the IP address is assigned. What we saw from ICE perspective, you can see it from assurance dashboard. So a very powerful feature, a very powerful but small but powerful hardware. Use it. You can run multiple test cases. It's going to be like immensely helpful while troubleshooting. So I hope you enjoyed the video. It's going to be it was a long video, basically because there were like a lot of moving parts around it. You had to look at the switch, the sensor, DNAC, ICE, WLC. So you almost are touching all the different component of SDA fabric. Hence, that was a long video, but I hope you find it useful and you like it. Thank you.